Yo, 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 what's going on, good people? As you can see, we finally got Willie B always ready in the chat. Tell him what's up.
What's going on, good people?
Will, this is Will's first time actually on video. Our other 7 videos, this man was a combination of DeAndre Swift and CeeDee Lamb, and maybe that was it.
I think that was it.
Well, SmashGang Sports, here we are, back and refined and rebranded without Rizzy because we missed the old Rizzy.
We do. It's been a minute.
Today, the SmashGang Sports channel is going to bring you the top 12 quarterbacks in PPR scoring for the 2020 year. And the only way to get this started is to cue up the intro.
What's going on, good people? You feel me? Folks on
ATO on the beat.
Rolling down the block with my niggas. Yeah, you know my nigga got them tricks. Dynasty, yeah, we got extensions. Please don't make me pull up in your city, yeah. Mr. Diamond on the rolling. Master. Diamond on my nigga, yeah, they choking. Just like 2-3 nigga, yeah, I'm golden. Gas that I'm smoking got me floating, yeah.
What's going on, good people, and welcome back to our first SmashGang video in probably 3 or 4 months.
Probably longer than that. Oh, man.
Will has become a professional golfer.
Oh, I like that. I wish it was true.
He goes to the course every single day. Meanwhile, I do not. Today, we're going to bring you our top 12 quarterbacks for the 2020 season. As for mine and Will's rankings, they vary a little bit, not too much, but there's some guys that I'm higher on, and there's some guys that Will's higher on. So you'll just see where our top 12 are, and let's just go ahead and get into it. Will, start us with your one.
So my one, I got Patty Mahomes. It's hard to pick between him and Lamar. I just think Lamar could be a little more volatile. So I'm going to go with the consistency and the undisputed most loaded offense in football. So that's why I got Pat at 1.
And it makes sense to put him there because of how good the Chiefs' offense is. The only reason I'm putting Lamar at 1 is I think that he could possibly even improve from his rushing yards from last season. I believe that the Ravens are going to try to disperse the ball more between all their weapons, but I just don't think that I could have put Lamar at number 2 after the season he had last year, especially with all his rushing accolades and abilities.
Yeah, I don't see 36 touchdowns to 6 interception, whatever that ratio works out to like that. I don't know if that's going to happen again. That's my only thing. I think the rushing is going to be a little bit less. I'm always in belief that those kind of quarterbacks kind of get figured out. Nobody can game plan for Lamar perfectly, but there's going to be more games where he will be stopped, have to throw more, and I just don't see that touchdown total coming or going any higher. Where I see Pat, he finished last year, obviously missed a game or two, whatever it was, and only had he didn't even get to 30 touchdowns. He could easily just any year throw 40. That's why I just think his ceiling's higher.
Coming in at our consensus number 2 quarterback, it's only because Lamar and Pat had a tie since we both had him at 1, or the other at 1, is Deshaun Watson at number 2 or 3, whichever way you want to look at it. And the only reason that I'm having Deshaun so high, Will actually has him 1 spot back at number 4 with Russell Wilson ahead of him. But I think that Deshaun has that feeling and that weight on his shoulders that there's nobody on his team other than him. And if the Texans are going to win the game, it's going to be because he makes plays happen, or he scrambles outside the pocket, gets kicked in the side of the face, and throws a bullet touchdown. There's not a lot of offensive playmakers, well, really superstars on the Texans, except for Deshaun. So I think he's just going to go full Superman mode this year and be one of the top 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, you can't argue with Deshaun. Probably the worst thing, obviously, you lose DeAndre Hopkins. They got a lot of deep threats, so that can help because he loves that deep ball. But probably the biggest addition, if it works out, is going to be David Johnson, because I still think he's not the best runner in the world, but he could easily go out next year and catch 70 balls, and that could help Deshaun a lot throughout the course of the year. And if he brings up some of those rushing numbers that he had in the past, I think he's going to turn to be into to a good asset. And I still believe in Brandon Cooks. I just think Russ has a little of an edge just because of the weapons. Because DK, I think, is going to turn into one of the best receivers in the NFL. Tyler Lockett's becoming super consistent. He's not that one-trick pony that he used to be. He's a really good wide receiver. Whatever their running back situation turns into, I don't know. But they still have a good scheme around to where I think he's going to be consistent. And Russ is just too talented to ever fall out of the top 5 in his prime. So that's why I have Russ one spot ahead of Watson, but you can go either way. But I think Russ is just proven, and I think he'll finish in that top 3 spot.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on Russ. I just have him listed after Deshaun, Kyler, and Dak, mainly because Pete Carroll doesn't really let him do what he wants to do. Moving on to our consensus 3 is Dak Prescott. We don't really need to spend a lot of time here. We know what Dak is. We know his weapons. Is there anything that you're looking for from Dak in 2020? We have him at consensus number 3. I have him at 5, and you also have him at 5. I guess he came out that way because of the tie, so –
Yeah. The only thing with Dak is I feel like he almost eclipsed 5,000 yards. He had 30 touchdowns. His interceptions went up, I think. I'm pretty sure it was the most he had in his career. But that offense is loaded, man. And I think Mike McCarthy coming in, he's a good head coach. He's going to make sure everybody gets theirs. And Dak's going to be a good quarterback. Everybody wants to hate on him, say he's, average and he's just in a good system. He's a good quarterback.
He only threw 11 interceptions last year, which really isn't even all that many.
Wasn't that the most he ever had?
Not that many. I'll go back to 2018. He had 8. 2018, he had 8.
Okay.
But in 2017, he did have 13. So his rookie year, he had the most.
Because his rookie year, his rookie year was 2016. He had 4. Remember? Because he was on fire. Nobody could stop him.
Yes, he did have 4 interceptions. His sophomore year, he came back with 13, the most. Yeah. But last year, the second most in his career at 11. Do you think that he has more than 11 or less than 11?
I'd take the over, I guess, just because that's really hard to do. I mean, every quarterback eventually has that one season where they at least throw like 13, 14, 15. But that offense is great. Zeke's always going to be their anchor. And I just think Dax with CD coming in, Gallup's developing, Amari's always going to be, in that conversation as one of the best route runners. And he's going to get a lot of open looks to Dak. It's just if Dak can make those throws. But Dak's a good quarterback, and I believe in him as much as I hate to say it because screw the Cowboys. But he's going to be in that conversation for best – or not best, but top 5, yeah. If that's what we have in 5, yeah.
Right.
I think that's fair.
No, we have Dak consensus 3. Russ was our consensus 5. We've already talked about Russ. So let's just look at Kyler real quick at consensus 4. I had him at 4. You had him down at 6. I just think that I believe more in Kyler's rushing ability in his sophomore year. And I also think that maybe he'll sling the ball a little more. I know he was already throwing it like almost 40 times a game. Yeah. But if he continues to throw it 40 times a game with refined and a better receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, and he starts to run a little bit more, I just think that he could break into the top 5 for 2020.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think his number, getting DeAndre's, that's a huge pickup, obviously. He's going to have Kenyon back this year. He's a good pass catcher as a running back. I know Kenyon had some – I don't know what they said. He was in a walking boot today, but, that's not going to be a problem.
Precautionary, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a believer in Kenyon Drake as a Kenyon Drake owner. But Kyler, he
Today, Junior?
He threw it 540 times last year. If that goes up, that'll be kind of a surprise to me. I feel like it has to kind of stay around that same area. If it goes up, he'd be having to throw it 580, 600 times. That'd just be insane. But I do agree with his rushing. That could definitely be improvement. He could easily have more than 4 rushing touchdowns in a season. I think touchdowns can go up. DeAndre is a good red zone target. Larry's always going to be Mr. Consistent, and Christian Kirk can take the top off anybody. So if those touchdowns go up, yeah, but I just don't think he's going to reach that 30 touchdown. He'll probably still have more than 12 interceptions. But if he gets those rushing numbers up, like 800 yards, he gets 2-3 more touchdowns a season, yeah, he can make that jump. But I wouldn't have him over Dak.
I have Kyler over Dak. It's actually Lamar, Pat, Deshaun, Kyler. So we've already talked about Russ being our consensus 5. We'll just go ahead and go to our consensus 6, Carson Wentz. Is 2020 the year that he's going to play all 16 games, or do I have Carson Wentz wrongly ranked?
I really hope he does, man. Me and Riley talk about this all the time. Carson Wentz could be the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, if he could stay healthy. He's so talented, but they just won't put a team around him. And I think they did a decent job in the draft. Miles is going to be refined next year. Jalen Reagor has apparently been wowing the Eagles in training camp. If some of those wide receivers can do some weapons, I think he could possibly get to that top 3. I think he could be the next guy behind Pat and Lamar if those weapons turn out well for him. He's so
the only reason I even have Wentz so far down at 9 is when I'm looking at the beginning of the season, the only guy he's going to be able to throw it to is Zach Ertz and hopefully Miles Sanders. I mean, you have Jalen Reagor, who they got in the draft, but he's not going to be changing game plans week 1 as a rookie. So I just hope that Wentz can find somebody to throw it to.
I think a big addition if he comes back – well, not addition. They had him last year. But if Deshaun Jackson can come back and just be that deep threat, I mean, that's going to be a tough team to guard. I don't know how Alshon's going to be. I'm still surprised he's in the league at this point. But he's still a matchup problem for a lot of people if he can stay healthy. And, I mean, that's not a terrible – I mean, Reagor, Deshaun – and Alshon, and then you obviously have Ertz and maybe Goddard. I mean, if they can play, I do believe in him because I mean Deshaun went absolutely off in that first game of the season last year. Well, 154 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so maybe Carson Wentz can pull it together for 2020. We haven't seen it in his short career, but I'm really pulling for the guy, even if he does look like Prince Harry.
Yeah.
Our consensus number 7. Drew Brees, I have him at 12. Will has him at number 8. Pretty high up there, Will. You want to back your boy Brees up?
I'm not backing him up at all, but you got to respect the game, right? He only played 11 games last season and still finished as the 21 quarterback on the year. 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in 11 games. It's pretty nuts, honestly. And that offense is not slowing down, especially with Kamara coming back healthy, hopefully next year. Michael Thomas is going to lead the league again in yards, catches, just about everything in most wines by a wide receiver. But that offense is too good. Emmanuel Sanders coming in, he's only going to get better and hopefully play all 16 games. So.
Is there any worry at all that maybe Sean Payton plays Taysom Hill more with Brees aging, maybe even bring Jameis Winston in for some games?
Maybe if they're kind of in that situation at the end of the year. I don't think Taysom Hill is going to be a worry at any point during the year. He's going to make a couple plays. He'll have a couple crazy touchdowns on these trick plays like last year, but he's nothing special. They didn't really give him any attempts. If he goes out there and has a couple runs, gets a couple first downs, okay, but he's not taking anything away from Drew. But Jameis, the only way I see him ever playing is if the Saints are 13-3, 14-2 at the end of the year, or I guess it'd be like 12-2 or something like that at the end of the season, and they already locked down the first seed or home field, and they're just like, all right, Jameis, you go out there and throw 15 interceptions. Drew's going to sit this one out. That's the only scenario I see Jameis ever getting any playing time.
Yeah, so Drew Brees, our consensus 7, basically just because of the high-powered offense around him and having the biggest ball hog at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Going on to our consensus 8, it hits home, Matt Ryan. I was in my video recently. I don't remember exactly what video it was. Oh, it was Jit
Nasty.
Jit Nasty's breakdown video was my love and my support for Matt Ryan in 2020. Fourth year with Dirk Cutter, second consecutive year. He always ping-pongs. He always comes back. And I think that Matt Ryan's going to throw close to 5,000 yards and be pushing close to 30 touchdowns.
Yeah, it has to be that season, right? I mean, it has to be. Calvin's going to be, I think, a monster this year. And we're getting Todd. If Todd's healthy, He can actually catch something out the backfield that Devontae
If.
couldn't do. And yeah, it's a big if. We'll get to that, I guess, at the running backs. Well, he might not be on that list, but we'll talk about him. He'll be a honorable mention.
I can promise you we will talk about Todd Gurley.
Yeah, but anyway, like you were saying, in the video, Matt Ryan every other year, he's that guy. It's been like 7 years in a row where he's gone from outside the top 10 to the top 5 or top 10, outside the top 15 to the top 10. So if this is the season, this would be the perfect time to do it with all these weapons around us. Our defense, I think, is going to be healthy. So he's going to be on the field more. Gosh, if we can just get some red zone touchdowns. Oh, my gosh.
We can just be productive in the red zone, like anything.
I mean, it's insane how bad we've been. And a lot of it is on Matt. He's made some weird plays in the red zone. We need to get Julio more involved in the red zone, which is something we've never done. It's very rare. But with Hayden Hurst coming in, I like him as a tight end. I think he can – I don't think he's going to be Austin Hooper stat or production-wise, but he's going to be a good guy because he's actually more athletic than Hooper. Hooper couldn't run for shit, and Hayden Hurst is athletic. But I think Matt could easily get that. He's going to throw 4,000 yards. That's a given. We already know that. He's going to throw over 580 times probably as a guarantee. And he's going to, I think, get to that 30 touchdowns. It's just he's got to cut the interceptions a little bit and get more red zone touchdowns, and he'll be gravy.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the Falcons' offense this year, which I am every year, but maybe this is the year. I have a feeling. The line is improving, I believe.
I think so.
As far as our consensus number 11, Josh Allen, I can't even believe I have Josh Allen in the top 12. I didn't even really want to put him there because I have become the person who does not believe in Josh Allen.
I don't either.
I think that he might
I don't
be
believe him at all.
We've seen 2 seasons, and he hasn't really improved any in passing. The reason that he's so valuable is because he runs like every other play and is actually a pretty good runner. But the problem is he's going to get hit one good time, and that's going to be the end of that. And he's definitely not going to be a quarterback one.
See, my argument isn't really towards his running because I think that's going to be pretty consistent. I think the problem is his accuracy. I mean, 2 straight years failing to even get 60% in completion percentage, and his deep ball was actually the worst in the NFL. I know people are kind of getting excited about Diggs coming in to Buffalo, and maybe he can help him out, but I'm also not a Stephon Diggs believer, not in this offense. So I just don't see much improvement because I don't think they have a lot of weapons around them. They got Zach Moss in the draft. I feel like they want to run the ball more. 1-2 punch with Singletary. I don't believe in him. I don't think he's that great besides from the rushing 2 straight years without 60%. That's horrible.
Yeah, I'm just not a Josh Allen fan.
I just remember that game against New England where they absolutely – I mean, it was New England, granted.
No, this Baltimore game, he was 17 for 39.
Jeez.
17 for 39 and 146 yards.
That's
elite.
Great.
That's elite.
Hey, no picks, though.
He had 1 pick.
13 of 28 and 3 picks, no touchdowns versus New England. He had a rushing touchdown. That was it.
Well, if you came to this video for Josh Allen love, just go ahead and skip. Going on to our consensus quarterback 12, Matthew Stafford. That's exactly where Will has him ranked. I have him all the way up at 7. Honestly, looking at it now, I would probably move him down a couple. I would consider moving a few of these guys ahead of him. But either way, I do believe Matt Stafford can have a QB1 year in 2020, given that he can stay healthy and Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay can be the wide receiver core that the Detroit Lions need. Because the running back room, as we all know, Detroit is where running backs go to die.
True. I think that dog's going to break that trend. Yeah, that's a bad boy. That's a bad boy. I mean, it's not going to be hard for DeAndre to beat out Kerryon Johnson. Stafford, he started out last year absolutely hot. 8 games, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2,500 yards. Do I think that's repeatable? It could be. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but Stafford's coming off the injury. I don't know. I do believe in Kenny. I think he's going to be a great wide receiver. I don't believe in Marvin Jones. And I think DeAndre is going to help him out of the backfield. Something Stafford hasn't had since Reggie Bush. But I just think the consistency is not going to be there with the Lions because they have a lot of problems. Can Stafford finish up there, in the top 10? Maybe if he has a couple of those just absolute like hot weeks where he's throws 4 or 5 touchdowns, and which we know he can do. I just don't think he's going to be as consistent this year as he started out last year. So that's why I have him right there at 12.
Yeah, and I just think that he has an opportunity to bust into the top 10. Honestly, if I was redoing my rankings, I'd probably put him somewhere closer to 9. But you're getting Stafford almost undrafted or in way past double-digit rounds. So that's an extremely good value if you're drafting currently and not in like a dynasty or keeper league.
Yeah, he's somebody, even if you get good value, he's going to be consistent and he's never going to lose you a week, I don't think. He doesn't really ever have those games where he's just MIA. So I think he's a great quarterback for this year if you don't have one of those top 5 guys. Like, don't even worry about the Wentz, Breeze, any of them. Just wait until Stafford, because he's going to fall to you for sure.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for the SmashGang Sports video of our top 12 QBs for 2020. Glad to have Willie B back on the mic. Willie B,
Sir,
let him know.
felt good to get back out here.
Everybody, spam the comments of how much you love Will's stash.
Ew, it's tough.
All right, everybody. Remember, like, subscribe, check us in the next video, and don't forget, we miss the old Rizzy.
R.I.P.
Rolling on the block with my niggas. Yeah, you know my nigga got them tricks. Dynasty, yeah, we got extensions. Please don't make me pull up in your city, yeah. Master diamond on the roller. Diamond on my nigga, yeah, they choking. Just like 2, 3 nigga, yeah.